I'm Rebecca Brazier. I'm a director at Platinum Pacific Partners, and I work across executive search for, predominantly private equity, investment banking and corporate development. So we're looking for people partnering with other firms to find them good staff. Really, that's my job. Private equity is a type of investing which really is focused on private businesses. So you'll have a private equity firm which is a general partner, and they raise capital from investors which are then sort of termed the limited partners. And what they're doing is they're investing in private businesses, or they can invest in public companies, but that would be in their entirety, really with the aim of going in and improving them, adding capital so that they can then get that business to a place where they can exit it by either listing it or selling it to another private equity firm and making a profit, and that they then return to their investors. A career in private equity allows you to impact the economy by putting a lot more capital into the economy and helping these businesses grow. So that's going to create jobs, that's also going to create economic growth. Some of these companies too will have difficulty accessing capital through normal funding sources, and so often the capital that comes from private equity is actually capital that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. From a social perspective, like private equity firms are investing in things like retirement living, which is obviously improving the standard of retirement living across the board, or agriculture and actually making farms more efficient. And then from a sort of a worldwide perspective, obviously private equity is very focused on innovation, and so that innovation is, improving all the industries, and that's the impact that you can have by working within those firms. Private equity market is like sort of split between buyout funds, so they're the sort of big global players with lots of capital under management. So that would be like a KKR or a Blackstone, Brookfield, EQT, Carlyle. So they all are big players, they're doing big deals and they've got lots of capital to deploy. You then sort of have domestic players in Australia, which would be people like PEP, which is Pacific Equity Partners. We have Quadrant, which is a very successful fund. And then we have a lot of mid-market players. And usually what that means is they have slightly less money to deploy and they do slightly smaller deals. But it's still going in and working in private equity and working with businesses to improve them. Private equity is looking to hire people after they've already established a skill set, and that usually is investment banking or consulting. They're the two main areas that people will look for associates to come into private equity. That's because they really need to have developed that financial acumen, modelling skills, commerciality, and understand how a deal's done when you actually are trying to acquire a company. Consulting's also a good place to look because they're very operationally involved. They'll do a lot of strategic work with companies. They may actually diligence companies for private equity firms. So they're the skills that you've developed before you go into private equity. It's very rare to go from a graduate position into a private equity firm. Sometimes corporate development's also another place. People that have worked within businesses or corporates is a good place for us to look for people that would wanting to go into private equity. You have to have very strong sort of academics, strong financial modelling, and I think, commerciality and an investing mindset are the skills that they really look for. We're always encouraging people or talking to them about what investing they've done outside of just, their everyday. So what else sort of have you done that speaks to having an investing mindset? And so you could be just like doing an online modelling course. You could be actually doing your own investing if you're allowed to, because obviously investment banks won't let their staff invest. But even if you're not allowed to invest, you could be just looking at companies and working out whether you think it would be a good investment or not. I think listening to all the sort of information that's out there now in terms of podcasts, like there's many sort of stories that you can sort of educate yourself on. What do people look for when they're looking for a good business? So we're always talking about improving that investing mindset, and you can do that, without any sort of professional work. You can just do that on your own. Opportunities for women are actually very good at the moment for private equity. There's a huge diversity push across the market. I think for a long time we've seen too many sort of males dominate these fields, and we know that having a diverse workplace is going to make for better investments. And so I think most of the mandates we run, there's always a preference for at least a 50-50 shortlist. And sometimes we're working with clients that are now asking for full female shortlists to really make sure that they've exhausted the market. So if it's a field that you're interested in as a female, it's certainly something that you should pursue because there's lots of demand out there from the firms.